Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Get that focus going. Cool. Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is Drew. What it do? Hopefully you are having a fantastic day today. And as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of sneakers. I have a lot of reviews of sneakers on the channel, and I'm a fan of bootleg sneakers as well. And on today's podcast episode, I decided to talk to one of the prominent or one of the kind of bigger figures in the bootleg Jordan 1 kind of marketplace. And it was the brand Obra. If you guys have never heard about it, let me put you guys on to a fantastic repurposing Jordan 1 brand that creates their own variant of the Jordan 1. I got a chance to talk to Jonathan Rodriguez, who runs and operates the brand Obra. It was a really fascinating conversation. It was really cool because he's from New Mexico, or he lives in New Mexico, and I had a great conversation with him. Without further ado, let's get into the podcast episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you do enjoy it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more podcasts, fashion content, and other related topics. 3, 2, 1. Sneaker culture has exploded in the last few years. Today's guest's enthusiasm for sneakers led him to creating one of his very own. Allow me the honor of introducing the creative mastermind behind the brand / Instagram page of Obra, Jonathan Rodriguez. How are you doing today, man?
Good, man. Good, man. Thanks for the little intro. Appreciate that.
That's how we do it here at the Beyond the Garment podcast. We always try to impress the guests in the first about 10 seconds with a little intro, you know what I mean? So, but man, how are things for you? Where are you in the world right now?
I am in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah, everything's been good.
Good.
Just staying outside, trying to get sun.
Sweet, man. I love it. I'm in Colorado. I'm in Denver, so we're actually not that far away from each other right now, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to link up.
Man, we might have to. I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but let's do it.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of heading up there like next month. So
for what?
Just to like hang out. Yeah. I want to see canoe clubs. Shop.
Okay. Yeah. Super dope. Fun. Well, man, let's start off with the podcast. I'm really excited for this episode because a lot of reasons. I love sneakers, for one. Obviously I can tell you have an affinity for sneakers, and I think what you've done with Obra and, talking with different individuals such as like Ray Mia, just others who also are in the space of creating or recreating or repurposing Jordan 1s. It's a really interesting time I feel like we're in when it comes to sneakers. And so I'm really excited to have you on, man. And let's dive into this first question. What is your background? Where are you from? And how is it like for you growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I was born in Orange County, California, so Santa Ana. But we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico when I was like 7. We didn't have like a big place of living. Like we lived like with 3 other families in California.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah. My parents wanted to like get out of there. They're from Mexico. They grew up in Mexico. They immigrated to the US. Dope. So when they were there, they were just like, dang, we want to have a family with like a house and things. So they heard that Albuquerque from other family members was pretty affordable place to live, since there's literally like nothing here.
Truly.
Yeah, for real. And they came over here, and yeah, they were able to like afford a house after working so hard in California. And yeah, I grew up in Albuquerque, not much to do, just really play sports. Like sports is really a big part of the Albuquerque community, just because like in high school, like that's what you do. You're going to play a sport if you want to do something. If not, right, you try to like do other things. I don't know. A lot of gang things were also like a big part of where I grew up. Right. So it's either you're like going to be an athlete or you're going to be doing like dumb stuff. So that's how I basically grew up. So basketball was like really my life. I just hooped all the time. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty good. I was pretty nice.
That's good, man. I know. I love talking to a hooper. I love talking to a hooper because that's my upbringing too, man. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, don't worry. Yeah, I want to hear you what your upbringing is too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I guess for me, I also hooped as well, right? Obviously, a lot of people who are listening are kind of know that I tell the story. I feel like every podcast episode, but playing basketball, there's such a cultural kind of way that you view the world too, like when you play and you hoop, and it kind of molds you for the rest of your life, I feel like. And so knowing that you play basketball, you probably had a lot of things, especially if you're good too, like hoopers know other hoopers, and like you
Yeah.
probably, if you traveled and things like that, like, you know, it just has an effect on you. Your whole swagger, your whole demeanor is changed, in my opinion, because of basketball. Like if you play, right? So
Yeah.
that's super dope. I didn't know that. And like when you moved, how old were you from when you moved from California?
Yeah, I was like 7 years old. So I didn't really grow up in California too much. We go like every summer, but
Right,
like I
right.
don't know, like I don't really remember much of my childhood like in
Yeah,
California. Everything is really like Albuquerque. So I usually
right.
say I'm from Albuquerque.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get that. My girl, she was born in Boston, lived there for like 4 years. When like you're a kid, you're just doing kid stuff, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
even though when she tries to claim Boston, like when she's only been there for like age 0 to 4, I'm like, bruh, you ain't no Bostonite. But
Yeah,
she really clouds back at me. Anyways.
yeah. Yeah.
But let's talk about sneakers a little bit, man, because I think that's what a lot of people kind of know Obra, know what you do as, is, you know, a guy that loves sneakers and created his own sneaker. How did this kind of passion for sneakers, or, you know, interest in sneakers take foot? Where does that story start?
Yeah. So ever since I was like a kid, like my pops was kind of a sneakerhead. So he would always be wearing like Air Maxes and
Mm,
Shocks and stuff in the like early 2000s. And
yeah.
even in the 80s, he like was into like Avias, because in Mexico, like Jordans weren't a thing. So
Mm,
in Mexico, he would like rock Avias, which have like this,
obvious. I don't even
which are
know what
like
that is.
bootlegs of like Nikes, basically, which is so
Okay.
funny to like think that he was rocking like some
It's
type
full
of
circle.
bootleg, and like I'm making bootlegs now. It's just crazy, man.
That's hilarious. It's in your blood, bro.
Yeah, for real. Like what? So people think that like bootlegs are just a thing from now. Like back then, like people were doing it too. But ever
Of
since I was a
course.
kid, like my parents always wanted me to like have like good clothes, good shoes. So I was always into them. Yeah, like middle school, I was rocking like all the cool basketball shoes. Like I had like KD2s, like
Oh
LeBron,
man,
stuff like that. I would only have one like sneaker a year, but I had to make sure like it was the coolest sneaker,
top notch.
or like buy the ones on sale that were really cool from the past year.
Mm,
So, like
mm,
I got like cool LeBron. Let's say like a LeBron like 7 was the new shoe. I would get
right.
like the LeBron 6s, but it would be like in a dope colorway.
Mm,
So I
mm.
would always be wearing like the really cool basketball shoes, in my opinion. But
I love that, bro. Because
yeah,
I think right now sneakers is in an interesting place that no one wears basketball shoes anymore,
yeah.
like Nike basketball shoes. And I feel like kind of it sounds like we grew up in the same. How old are you, by the way?
23.
23. So we are the exact same age. Yeah. So we grew up in
Yeah,
the same kind of generation of like Nike basketball, and like you had the LeBrons, and then you had like the LeBron Palmers and the KDs of the
yeah,
world. And then you had Kobe's coming out, which unfortunately Nike doesn't seem like they're gonna redeem or continue his contract. But
yeah,
anyways, that's a side note. But you had all these basketball shoes, you know what I'm saying? And people wore them, like people wore them to hoop in, people actually wore them to walk around in as well. And we were like, they were stylish, and it was kind of fun
yeah,
in that instance, right?
yeah.
I feel like nowadays it's not as much, you don't get that as much, but that's very dope. I didn't know you. So you grew up with a lot of different basketball shoes. Same, man. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And in high school, like a lot of my friends actually had like retro Jordans, but like I didn't know how to style them, so I never like wore them. I've
Mm,
always been into like what could I wear that looks good on me? And my homie like gave me Jordan 1s like for free one time.
oh my
And I
gosh.
literally I think they were like they might have been some black and white ones. Yeah. Which are like popping off, and I'm like I tried to find those for so long now. But
Yeah,
back then like I would wear them and I'm like these are like too chunky, like
I
with
feel
skinny
you.
jeans and stuff like that.
I
So
feel you.
I just wore Converse all the time just
Yeah.
because that was what will like fit what I was wearing.
Mm.
but all my homies were wearing like 11s, like 9s, 10s. Yeah, they were all wearing like really cool Jordans, and I'm like, those are pretty cool, but I ain't gonna wear those. They look like weird on me, you know?
I feel you,
So
bro. I totally
yeah,
get you. I totally get you. And it's kind of, it's so funny because most times I'm talking to people from like either like literally California or like New York. And so like I feel you on that heavy because even for me, like when I was growing up, like I didn't wear as many Jordans as much either. Like I wore like Vans a ton. You know,
yeah, same.
like yeah, right. So I
Yeah.
used to wear like Vans a ton because I liked how slender they were. Like in Colorado, probably similar to maybe relatively similar to New Mexico. Like it kind of embodied some of that West Coast culture, like more
Mhm.
so than what is in the East Coast. And so you had a lot of people skateboarding and things. Even though I hoops, like it was still like a part of Colorado culture to like have some Vans or like things like that, right? So that's super dope to know about too. Now, you know, for right now, like let's fast forward to right now, man. How many sneakers do you have? What kind of sneakers are you collecting nowadays, and or what are you just rocking on a day-to-day basis? I guess that's
Yeah.
three questions in one, but yeah, I
Yeah,
got
I
you.
have like around 40. Not all of them are like sneakers. They're gonna be like performance shoes and stuff like that,
Yeah,
like boots or something.
right.
I have like around 40. I really rock like everything. Like I try to like keep my rotation like have every pair worn, but I'd say the most wore pair are gonna probably be my New Balances.
Mm,
New Balance 550s, the ALD ones, like they're
yeah,
comfy. I'm on my feet a lot at work all day, so
I love it, bro.
like that's what I'm always wearing. I'll try to wear like 85s at least once a week,
Mm,
just to actually like not have them harden up and things like that. Uh,
true.
but but I like my New Balances. They're just like super comfy, and I don't know, like comfort is always a priority now.
It definitely is. I mean, it's kind of weird to hear you say that because it's like I'm on the same wavelength in so many levels. I personally like I live in my New Balances. Not I just got the 1300s, the ALD collab. I know
Nice.
ALD has done a ton of collabs, right? But
Yeah.
I pretty much live in the 990s, the V4s.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
and I mean, they're just so comfortable. So if you're listening right now and you're like, you know, you want to try to find comfortable, relatively stylish sneakers. I mean, New Balance is in one of my is killing it. You know what I mean? They really
Yeah.
are killing it. So, but let's talk about how you got into the kind of the bootleg scene, if I want to call it that, right?
Yeah.
How did you start creating sneakers on your own? But actually, let's actually go back further. How did Obra come about? Because I feel like that origin story is maybe will then lead to the sneakers that you've created, right? How does Obra start?
Yeah.
Am I
Me and my
saying that right?
yeah. Uh, I mean, like you could. It's a Spanish word, so like obra in English is good.
Yeah.
Like the Spanish way to say it is obra, but it's like the same thing.
Mm,
Uh, it started off as onda with my friend. We both like were running the account. We wanted to do things together, but just like when two people like start something, sometimes like people have different ideas. And we like decided like in a friendly way, like, hey, you have an idea. He just was like telling me like, you have a different idea than I do. Like, why don't you just like take over the account? At first we were just like posting sneakers and stuff,
mm,
but I wanted to like create my own things, and I work in a way where I want to like do things now. Like I'm really bad at um like slowing things down. Like sometimes it could be a positive and a negative thing. Like I get to work and do things done right away, but also like sometimes that means that I miss some steps that could have made something better.
right,
But I'm still working on that, and we'll continue to work on that.
right.
So he just like told me like I could just take over it, and I was like, yeah, cool. But he just asked me to like change the name, and I wanted to change it anyways, just because since it Onda was a two people deal, like I wanted it to make it my own. So I still needed to keep a O name because I started like the bootleg O.
Right.
And I was like, I need an O name. Like what's something that's meaningful to me with an O? And Obra was really like a huge meaningful thing to me because um growing up, like my parents and like aunties and uncles were like huge Christian believers, and they would always tell me like God is working in your life, or like God's going to be working in your life, so like trust in him.
Right.
And they would say it in Spanish, which means like Dios está obrando, like God is working in your life. And I was like, obra is like super meaningful because it's like it's work, and people use it in work of art, like a work in progress, like God's working, like things like that.
Right.
So that's how I came up with the name and wanted to keep going with it.
Yeah.
And it basically just is like a creative project for me. Like I want to keep like making things for myself, and hopefully people like it. If they don't, like on to the next thing, like it's okay.
Totally.
Like I just want to put my ideas out there for now, and hopefully in the future I'm more like collective and could do collections and stuff like that. But for now it's just really like a creative project.
Yeah.
And really a place where like people could talk to me, and hopefully I can help them out with what they're making or whatever they need help with. Like I'm pretty open book right now. Maybe in the future I won't be, I don't know, but right now, like I'm a place where people could come and ask questions. Like I could be like a middleman for them,
Definitely.
to help them like explore their own things, because I'm just really showing my progress. Yeah.
I love that, man. And I think the fact that it has such a deep meaning too, like with your family and the history, I think it means like from the outside looking in, like I didn't know that, right? And I think that means so much more, like to hear you say that and to know that there's a lot of thought process and there's a lot of love that goes into the things that you make. And I think a lot of people, because we're gonna start talking about the shoes that you made, a lot of people are so quick to judge, I think. And
Yeah.
that's the world we live in, right? They're so quick to
Yeah.
kind of judge what other people do and not really understand the process or understand the thought that goes into it. And I think that for you and for this podcast, it's really powerful because, um, like I said, I didn't know that. There's probably a lot of other people who didn't know that either, and hopefully they get a chance to hear that too. Let's talk a little bit about the Jordans, the bootlegs, the Obra ones. You just had another re-release, did you not?
Yeah. I wanted to do like something special. Like my favorite color is like white and gray sneakers. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just did one for like past customers and a few other people.
definitely. And
Yeah.
what's the process like when you set out to make your very own kind of Jordan one? You use the Jordan one as a canvas essentially, but you know made your own variant of it, designed the box, designed the sneaker essentially. How does that process look like? What did you where did you start?
It's like a really long process. I didn't know how to do anything. My homie gave me a few pointers on where like things were being made. But there's a lot of factories in China out there. A lot of factories. So literally people will be like, oh, just go on Alibaba and like you'll find the factory and they'll make them exactly like how you want them. But that's not like the case. Like it actually takes a long time to find the right factory, and a factory that's willing to like work with you and make like changes that you ask, because
Yeah,
some factories will not do that. They'll like, you'll place an order, give them like, let's say a design that you want to make, and they won't get back to you. They'll just like send you the shoe, and if you're happy with it they can make more. If you're not, like they're not going to fix anything. They're
yeah,
like, this guy might sell like 200 shoes, like that's not worth my time. Like I'm making
mm,
cash selling like to Amazon or whatever.
mm.
So for me, i I like maybe sampled like 10 pairs before I found a factory. And that's a lot of
Jeez,
freaking samples, just because I'm like so picky with cuts and stuff. And
jeez,
I'm still being like picky over cuts and things. I still like tell my factory that there needs to be a couple tweaks and things like that. But it takes a lot of time and money to be able to like find out what you really want. Like people think it's like really easy, but it's like really time consuming, and it takes a lot of communication to your factory because they're in China. Like you got to wake up either early or go to bed really late so you can
True.
talk to them, or else you get like a couple messages and you wait like a whole day. But it does take some time, and it really does kind of suck sometimes, having to like wait a whole 3 days for an answer back, or maybe they can't find certain materials or things of that nature.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and how long would you say the process is, like, from idea to actually getting it into the consumer's hand? Like a year and a half, 8 months, 4 years, 5 years? I have no idea. How long does that usually take?
It usually just depends. I got mine done in like from my idea to something I'm actually happy about or like proud of. It took me like 6 months, but I was like I like obsessed over it. Like I was
Right.
like constantly like looking for factories and constantly like looking uh to be able to like fix the pattern and fix the shape of the Jordan 1 and stuff like that.
Totally.
So it could take longer, it could take less. It just depends. Like you got to I wouldn't really tell anybody what factory I use just because it took me so long
Oh, of
and
course.
so much samples. But like if you find it in your first try, it might take you like a couple months. If it doesn't, like you might be making samples for a year until you're happy with what you got.
Yeah.
It just depends.
No, yeah, I'm relatively close to Ray Mia, because we're working on the magazine, Small Hours, right? I work
Yeah.
with him on that, right? And when he was talking about the process, he'd made a YouTube video about it, but he also talked about it. And he was telling me and Alexander Walker just how kind of painstaking it was, right? Because of the like kind of what you described, just when you get back maybe your first sample and you're like, man, what is this?
Yep.
This is not really what I like wanted at all, right?
Yeah.
And um a lot of people, like I said, don't see that either. They just see the final result, and then some people just judge it. But it's not just as easy as think it is. You could, you know, say factory make this for me, and it's not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
you have to kind of recognize that, and that's why I kind of like bootlegs. I really do like bootlegs, actually, because um obviously right now we're in a moment where sneakers are really hard to attain anyways,
Yeah.
especially Jordan 1s. And bootleg essentially is a independent creative that is putting their own twist on an iconic silhouette, right? And it's nice to see kind of a refreshing design on a Jordan 1, because not a lot of times, but sometimes Jordan 1 colorways and things like that just kind of fall flat.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of the things that are very similar, things that like look the same, like even recently, you have the Hyper Royals and like another, was it the UNC pair or something like that? Like those shoes are very
Yeah.
comparable, right? They're both like light blue Jordan 1s for the springtime. I mean, kudos to Jordan for making them and getting their dollars up, you know what I mean? But for me, like there's a little bit less appeal to something like that than like a bootleg, like what you do or what Ray does, right? Just because it's just new, it's something fresh with the silhouette. So
Yeah, I agree. I honestly love like seeing a lot of people's bootlegs. Like it's cool to see everybody just kind of like doing their own thing, because there's colors that you wouldn't even imagine like that you're able to do, or like materials that you can use that Nike may never use. Like it's really cool to be able to see
true.
everybody doing all that. Like I don't know, I'm into it. A lot of people think that like it's kind of corny, but taking L's is kind of corny too, and like buying resale all the time. Like
Man,
I do that shit sometimes. Like it depends on what shoe, but like it sucks to like always like having to pay resale. Like it's just a bummer that we're in that state right now, you know?
yeah, totally. It's so funny because I talk about this a lot of times, even off the podcast, and I talk about um sneaker culture, the way in which things are kind of evolving. There's just so much, there's so many people in sneakers. And then you have a predicament where you have a lot of wealthy individuals who are also in sneakers, right? So they're able to pay resale. So it just drives the price up. You have the issue of maybe botting, backdooring. You have quality control. So if replicas are being made, like with the Travis Scott ones, for example, like it's damn near impossible to tell between a real Travis and a fake
Yeah.
Travis, no matter what
Yeah.
you do. You know what I mean? So I'm a big sneakerhead. I do love sneakers, and I live in it, right? And if you're listening and you're like, what the heck are these two dudes talking about right now? Then there's a lot of things you can learn more than just that Jordan ones are hot and you should just buy as many as you can, right? There's a whole culture, right? So, but I want to ask you about some other brands that you're a fan of, man. So what are some other brands that you're looking at that you're kind of observing and then just enjoying?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I really like a lot of the brands that are just pretty low key, that aren't, well, they're not like as low key as as they were anymore, but like what Ray does is really awesome. He's really like specific, he's really good at paying attention to detail on everything he makes. So like it really inspires me, and he has a lot of cool products, and the way he like brings out things, and yeah, like the way he markets things is really cool. Like Hidden is really doing awesome things.
Yeah, I was
Like
gonna
the
ask you
denim
about
things
them.
he's doing right now is badass. Like his alias is really cool. Like it makes it very like secretive. I don't know. Like it's exciting to see like smaller brands coming up.
Yeah,
Like Nick from Collegium is an awesome like shoemaker. He's
totally.
giving me a lot of like helpful tips for like Italian shoes. So that's cool. McDowell's has like a lot of cool like bootleg things going on with like bootleg tees. He's really kind to me too. Yeah, basket case, like a lot of my closet is basket case
Yeah,
gallery. Um, they're really nice and helpful too. Like all these people are just like really nice and helpful. And they're brands that like I love to support. They have a lot of cool things coming out, and they might not be as small as you think, but they're just like, they're cool because they're like reachable. Like you can
totally.
talk to them. Like all the customers are able to talk to them. And I'm like in this place where I'm thinking like customers want to like be able to talk to the people who are making their clothes or the people who are designing their clothes. And these bigger brands, like you can't really get that.
Mm,
And customers are able to like talk to Ray, are able to talk to Jimmy from McDowell's. Like you're able to at least put some input, or just like have a conversation, or just be like, hey, thanks. Like I really enjoy this. And you might get
right.
reposted or something. Like that makes you feel good that you're being seen after being so supportive to this brand, you know?
Totally. So yeah, I love that. That's a great point. Cause like, um, there are so many instances where customers are like shouting at bigger brands and they don't care. So I really
Yeah.
like that point. You make a really good point. Obviously, I'm just reiterating what you're saying, but it's a really good point for sure. For sure. And I'm a huge fan of actually all those brands as well. And if you guys want to connect with those brands, obviously just search them up, as you're listening to this. But we're actually coming to a relatively soon conclusion in the podcast, man. It was actually a treat to get to talk to you. I know you're a busy guy. You have a lot of projects that you're working on. And I'm glad you mentioned Hidden too, because I was going to ask you about Hidden because I think they're doing some really dope stuff as well.
Yeah.
But one of the kind of final questions I want to ask you is, above all else, what do you want people to know about Obra? Whether it be what your plans are for the future, what you stand for, above all else, what do you want people to know about Obra?
I'm for the people. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but like I really am for the people. Like I want people to know that, like I said, it's really just a creative project, a place where I want my ideas to be shared and showcased. Hopefully in the future I can make like collections and things like that, things of that nature, like Hidden, Ray, and Basket Case. But for now, like these are just where my ideas are. And I'm leaning towards more like Obra being like kind of like a like place where I show my ideas, and Obra Market being more of like the brand, and
Mm,
being more of like the place where people can shop, like a market for all people. Like it's not just going to be for street heads. Maybe sometimes I make Japanese denim jackets or stuff like that, and not just
right,
bootleg things, you know? Like it's
right,
gonna
right.
be a marketplace with a lot of cool things in it, like a diverse from bootleg to like high end, cool quality, handmade like denim pieces or leather pieces, stuff like
Totally.
that. But for now, it's really like a creative project and a place where people can ask me questions and I'll answer, or a place where we just can talk about like what's going on with our culture right now. So that's what it
Definitely.
is. Yeah.
Definitely, man. I love it. And I'll definitely be hitting you up now that I have your number. And
Yes.
I'm gonna make sure to save that in my phone, just as because it was a great time talking with you, bro, for real. And I think that the fact that you're in Albuquerque, I'm in Denver, relatively close to each other, middle of the country kind of boys. And you're a great guest, bro. I really do appreciate you coming on. And I want to give you an opportunity to just, if for those who don't know, can you just give us a plug of what your Instagrams are and those kind of things?
Yeah. The Instagrams are obra.ip, and then my brand site is going to be Obra Market. Yeah, so those are the two places where you could hit me on IG, and that's about it.
Cool.
Also, quick question:
Yo,
what high school did you go to?
I went to a high school called Grandview. You ever heard of it? It's
I
in,
think so. My homie used to play for a red, black, yellow team. What?
so he could have either went to Rangeview, he could have went to um, East Angels, Regis. Um, I'm pulling them back from my head.
Is it a C? Is there a school with a C?
Yeah, there's a school. There's a couple. There's Cherry Creek. There's Cherokee Trails. There's
Damn, I'm gonna have to hit you back with that. My
yeah,
homie, my good friend, he lived here and then he went over there. He
yeah, yeah.
played hoops for a minute.
What's his name?
Um, Jacob Montour.
Jacob Montour. It sounds relatively familiar, but it's been a lot of years.
Yeah, I'll have to hit. I'll have to hit you up for
Yeah, yeah.
that.
Let him know. Let me know if he knows Grandview, because I know a lot of people from my high school still listen. Um, wait, let's talk about basketball for 1 second before we conclude.
Word.
So wait, so you played in high school, bro? You played in high
Yeah,
school?
I did.
So how was it playing in high school? Like, did you guys go state tournaments, things like that? Did you play AAU? Did you do any of those things?
I didn't get to play much AAU just because we didn't have much money to like play in a travel team.
Yeah, it's tough.
So like I had a team here that would play in the summers. They just like I wouldn't have to pay anything. Like they just basically wanted me on their team.
Hmm.
But like my high school team, my coach was really cool. He would take us to like out of state tournaments every summer, and
Yeah.
one of them was like Golden Crown. You know, you know what that is,
Bro,
bro.
bro, don't talk about no golden crown. Oh my goodness. I need to take my headphones off.
We probably got the same shoes. I mean, the same shirt, the same Golden Crown shirt,
I
bro.
got all my golden crown jerseys in my closet right now. Right now.
Yeah. So we would be up there, man. We would go every summer. Yeah.
That's crazy. That means I mean I don't doubt it, bro. That at some point we were probably in the same gym.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even played against each other, just didn't know. Like
What
there's
was your school?
um if we're talking about Gold Crown, it was Grandview. It was
We probably did play each other. That's a name
probably
that
did.
really familiar.
Yeah, Grandview, and then what was the name of your team or what school or whatever?
We were a Trisco.
Trisco,
Yeah.
yeah, that does sound familiar, but and there's a couple other teams I played for too. But yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy, sir. That is crazy. Man, basketball. That's why I love the sport. That's why I love
Yeah.
it, man.
Crazy, man. Yeah. As soon as I was like, dang, this dude's from Denver and he hooped, we had to have like rubbed shoulders somehow.
At some point, we really had to, and it's weird how I get to talk to you right now. It's kind of weird, but anyways, man, like I said, thank you for coming on. I'm gonna cut it right now. Boom, just like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Beyond the Garment podcast. A great dude. Actually really connected with him, and hopefully we can do some future collaborations or just meet up, hang out, those kind of things. I always love doing that thing. If you are someone who's interested in being on the podcast, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at DrewJoyner_. I do love to hear about, learn about, and discover new upcoming brands, new up and coming brands, Love having the conversation and would love to have a conversation with you on the podcast potentially. So reach out to me at DrewJoyner_. Maybe you can be on the podcast. As always, I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity in 2021. So that means I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity to you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time.